Hey guys, Big Todd coming to you from the Backyard Wellness Center again. And guys, if you've ever thought about cold plunging or getting into the cold water for the health benefits of it, have I got the video for you today. Today, I'm going to share with you what I've learned about the power of cold plunging. Give me just a second. I'm going to get in the cold plunge and we'll talk about it. All right, guys, I want to go over the power of cold plunging. Now, these are just a few things that I've learned since I started cold plunging almost a year ago, regularly. So I try to research as much as I can on the internet, and I found that Gary Brecka, the human biologist, not a doctor, the human biologist, has some very interesting information about cold plunging. I've seen him on a couple podcasts. Huberman as well. Andrew Huberman has some very interesting information. And I've seen some people on his podcast talk about cold plunging and things like that. So this is where this information is coming from. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a human biologist. But these are things that I've researched and that I've found. So number one, I started cold plunging for anti-inflammatory benefits. And come to find out, it does help me. I feel a difference. But come to find out, anti-inflammatory benefit is only 15%. Your body only benefits 15% from that, from a cold plunge. So I found out that the rest of that benefit of a cold plunge comes from cold shock proteins, which are reserve proteins in our liver. And I'll go over a few of those cold shock proteins with you. So like YB1 is a cold shock protein, and it promotes wound healing. So that can help like after workouts, maybe if you've got a cut, maybe if you've broken a bone, things like that. It also helps out with immune response. So it draws immune cells to sites of inflammation. So as we know in the body, when something goes wrong, we have a rip, a tear, a cut, anything like that, it produces inflammation. So this helps draw the cells to that. Another cold shock protein is LIN, L-I-N, 28, A and B. Now, these two proteins are very similar, and they have similar functions, and they help regulate glucose metabolism. Now, me being a type 2 diabetic, I regularly am monitored by my doctor on my A1C. Since I have started cold plunging, I have seen that A1C lower, and I've seen my blood sugar, I've been able to regulate it better. Could be the diet as well. Probably is a lot of the diet, but this, from what I understand, this cold shock protein, LIN 28 A and B, helps with that as well. The next one I want to talk about is RBM3. Now, RBM3 is a cold shock protein that has neuroprotective effects. So what that does is that helps protect our brain from any damage it might incur. So if you're looking at strokes and things like that, you have better outcomes. What I'm told is, and what I understand is, people that cold plunge regularly or expose themselves to cold water regularly and purposely have better outcomes when it comes to strokes and things like that. Okay, guys, the last cold shock protein I want to talk about is CIRP. Now, CIRP cold shock protein helps protect muscle mass when not being used. So this is another good thing. And I took 3 months off, try to help a knee issue, but I did notice that when I went back, I eased back into it, but I didn't lose a lot of strength and a lot of muscle. And I'm not trying to sound narcissistic in that way. That's just something that I noticed. I was able to go back pretty quickly, easing back into it to where I was when I stopped. So I can attest to a lot of these things that they're claiming with the cold shock proteins. All right, guys, let's talk about protocol for a minute. So according to Gary Brecka, there's no data that shows any benefit of cold plunging in colder than 50-degree water. And then he suggests a minimum of 3 minutes and a maximum of 6 minutes per day. He said that's about the protocol that most people need. Now, that being said, I would say work it around a little bit. Try different things out. For me, I went all the way down to 39 degrees, as cold as this desert plunge would go. And I found out that my body was okay with it, but my toes, or my core body, but my toes and my fingers were not okay with it. They hurt really bad. So thinking that there's no benefit going that cold, I raise my cold tub back up to 46 degrees. So I keep my cold tub at 46. It ranges 46 to 48. And I do 2 times a day. I cold plunge first thing in the morning to really get me going in the morning, really get me, get my mind going well and get me in a good mood for the day. And then when I get home from work, I plunge again. And that allows me to relax a little bit. I know that sounds funny. It gets me going in the morning, relaxes me in the afternoon, but it does. And I do that for five minutes each time. So 46 degrees, 5 minutes twice a day. That's what works for me. That's what makes me feel good. So I know I'm hitting the protocol minimum according to Gary Brecka, and I know I feel good with my protocol. So like I said, play around with it and figure out what works for you. So cold plunging, some other benefits. It activates these cold shock proteins, but it also activates brown fat. It boosts metabolism. It manages insulin sensitivity. That's a big one. That can really help people. It burns calories. So if we think about calories, a calorie is the amount of heat it takes to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water by 1 degree Celsius. So it's a thermal thing, right? So we are burning calories as we're sitting in this cold plunge. Cold plunging shocks the system. So when you get in this cold water, and especially when you dunk, the blood rushes from your extremities, your toes, and your fingers and your hands, and it rushes to your core and your brain because that's what it wants to protect. Well, what this does is gives you a good flush of blood to the brain, and it also increases your mood. It's the same effect as having being in deep sleep for a little while. You are refreshed when you're in deep sleep and you have a good sleep. You wake up refreshed. You wake up feeling good. You get that same feeling when you get out of a cold plunge. So, guys, these are the things that I've figured out. Of course, I'm still on a journey. I'm still trying to figure it out. And when I learn more, I will bring you more. But these are a few things that I've learned and that I've heard from some of these so-called experts out there. And I just want to share them with you. I am going to do a video. I'm going to do a video of all the benefits and all the pros and cons of cold plunging. And that'll be a longer video than this one. And I'll put that out before too long. So be looking for that. But guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel, especially if you subscribe and you watch the video all the way. But I love you guys. Thanks for being on my channel. And we'll catch you for the next video.